Narcissists are already inside your head. These 7 dark tactics, they're how they control what you say, what you think, even what you feel. And the worst part? You probably didn't even realize it was happening. You thought you were being the bigger person, so you apologized, again, even though they were the one who crossed the line. You thought, maybe I just need to love them more. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. They made you question your reality, your sanity, your worth. What if that wasn't just a toxic relationship, but a psychological strategy? A strategy used by someone who knew exactly how to keep you trapped, without ever lifting a finger. Narcissists don't argue to solve anything. They argue to win, to confuse, to guilt, to control. They don't love you in the way you think. They mirror you, they study you, and then they use you to feed their ego. And when you finally begin to pull away, that's when the real mind games begin. But let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from a conversation and felt like the villain, even though you were the one hurting? Have you ever started setting boundaries, only to be called crazy, selfish, or too much? Do you feel exhausted, like you're constantly explaining yourself just to stay afloat? That's not love. That's not normal. That's a system built on manipulation. And it's time we expose it. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 7 psychological weapons narcissists use to trap you in their world. You've seen these tactics before. You've felt them. You just didn't know they had names. Until now. Before we break each tactic down, you need to understand one thing. Narcissistic persuasion isn't loud. It doesn't always look like shouting, breaking things, or open threats. It's psychological warfare disguised as affection, concern, and sometimes even love. Let's start with tactic number 1, and it's one that pulls you in like gravity. Tactic number 1, love bombing, the trap you thought was love. At first, they made you feel seen. It was fast, intense, like you finally found someone who understood you. They said all the right things, gave you all the attention. You thought, this is what I've been waiting for my whole life. But here's the twist, that overwhelming affection. It wasn't love. It was a setup. They learned what made you smile, what made you open up, what you craved most. Then they used it to hook you emotionally. Let me ask you, did they move too fast? Say I love you too soon, talk about soulmates on the second date, make grand promises before truly knowing you. That's not passion, that's programming. They rush the connection so you don't have time to see the red flags. And once they know you're emotionally invested, everything starts to shift. The same person who made you feel like the center of the universe suddenly becomes distant, cold, critical. And you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? But here's the truth, you didn't change. They did because they got what they wanted, control. This is only the beginning, and it gets darker from here. Tactic number 2, gaslighting, the reality rewriter. You start to question your own memory. Your instincts scream, something's wrong, but they keep telling you you're overreacting. That's gaslighting, the narcissist's second weapon, and possibly the cruelest. Because it doesn't just break your trust in them, it breaks your trust in yourself. They lie, blatantly, then twist it back on you like you imagined it. They say, I never said that. You're remembering it wrong. You're too sensitive. You always make things dramatic. Sound familiar? You walk away from the argument feeling confused, shaky, maybe even guilty. Not because you did something wrong, but because they made you feel like you did. And here's where it gets terrifying. The more it happens, the more you doubt your own mind, and the more you rely on them to tell you what's real. That's exactly what they want. Control doesn't always come from force. Sometimes it comes from rewriting your reality, word by word, lie by lie. If you've ever apologized just to make the chaos stop, if you've ever thought, maybe I am the problem, even when deep down you knew the truth, that's not love, that's psychological manipulation. And it's not your fault. But gaslighting is only one part of their plan. Next comes the tactic that leaves you feeling completely powerless. Tactic number 3, triangulation, the silent war for your sanity. You think the conflict is just between you and them? No. Narcissists bring in others, quietly, strategically. mercilessly. It's called triangulation, and it's how they turn your world into a battlefield. One day they tell you how amazing someone else is. Why can't you be more like her? He never complains like you do. Everyone else sees how great I am. Why don't you? Then, behind your back, they whisper to others about you. She's so unstable lately. He's always overreacting. Before you know it, you feel isolated. You question your worth. You wonder who you can trust. And that's exactly the point. They create invisible rivalries. They turn friends into spies. And they feed off the chaos, and because now you're fighting shadows, you're no longer just trying to fix the relationship. You're trying to win back your credibility. And in that mess, they sit back and play the innocent. I didn't do anything, they're just jealous. I'm just caught in the middle. I never told them to take sides. Of course they didn't. They just lit the match and walked away. If you've ever felt like everyone's been turned against you, if you've had to defend your sanity not just to them, but to your own friends, you weren't imagining it. That's triangulation. And it's designed to make you feel like the only way back is through them. But you're not alone, and you're not the crazy one. Tactic number 4, future faking. The dream that keeps you hooked. They tell you everything you've ever wanted to hear. I'm going to change. We're going to travel together. You'll see. Next year will be different. And for a moment, it feels real. You hold on. Not to what's happening now, but to what they promised would happen. This is future faking. And it's one of the darkest traps in a narcissist's playbook. Because you're not staying for how they treat you today. You're staying for the potential they keep dangling in front of you like a prize. A wedding, a house, a better version of them that never quite arrives. And they know exactly when to deploy it. When you start pulling away, when you finally gain clarity, when you're right on the edge of walking out, suddenly they paint a perfect future again. And for a while, you believe it. Because you're not weak, you're loyal, you're hopeful, and that's exactly what they exploit. Let me ask you something. How many times have they almost changed? How many times have you said, "This time feels different"? And how many times has your heart broken in the exact same way? That's not growth. That's manipulation with a smile. If someone's future promises don't match their current actions, they're not trying to build with you. They're trying to bind you. It's time to stop holding on to the version of them you created in your head, because the real version keeps showing up, and it's hurting you. Tactic number 5, guilt tripping. They weaponize your kindness. You say no once, and suddenly you're the villain. They act cold, distant. They say things like, "After everything I've done for you, wow, I wouldn't do that to you. You've changed." And just like that, you're spiraling. You start wondering, am I being selfish? Did I go too far? Should I just give in again? That's not love. That's emotional blackmail. Narcissists use guilt like a leash, not because they care about your feelings, but because they know you do. You have empathy, you care, you don't want to hurt people. And they count on that. They push you just far enough that you break your own boundaries. Then they step back and let your guilt do the rest of the damage. They want you emotionally obedient, to say yes, even when your soul screams no. And here's the most painful part. The better of a person you are, the easier it is for them to control you. Because you'll always give one more chance. You'll always try to understand. You'll always forgive, even when it's destroying you. If someone only loves you when you're doing what they want, that's not love. That's control. And if they guilt you for having needs, opinions, or boundaries, they're not hurt, they're just not in charge anymore. Tactic number 6, the silent treatment, disguised as peace designed to punish. They don't yell, they don't argue, they just go quiet. No texts, no calls, no explanation. They vanish, emotionally, physically, and leave you drowning in anxiety. This is the silent treatment. And it's not peaceful, it's punishment. You start overthinking. Did I do something wrong? Maybe I pushed too hard. Should I say sorry just to break the tension? But here's what's really happening. They're not taking space to calm down, they're taking power. Because they know you hate uncertainty. And silence Silence forces you to fill in the blanks with fear. They don't need to say a single word. Your guilt, confusion, and fear start doing the work for them. And when they finally come back, they act like nothing happened. Or worse, they flip it. I just needed a break from your negativity. You're too much sometimes. I needed to protect my peace. Now you're not only hurt, you're the reason they disappeared. Let's be clear. Silent treatment is not emotional maturity. It's emotional control. If someone disappears when you try to express your feelings, that's not distance, that's domination. And you deserve better than begging for basic communication. Tactic number 7, projection. They blame you for what they're doing. Ever been accused of something you know they're actually doing? They lie and say you're dishonest. They flirt and call you unfaithful. They manipulate and say you're the toxic one. That's not coincidence, that's projection, the final tactic in their psychological war. Narcissists can't accept their flaws, so instead of owning them, they dump them on you. They project their own guilt, shame, and dark intentions right onto the person closest to them. And because you care, because you self-reflect, you start wondering, wait, am I really like that? Did I come off wrong? Maybe I need to fix myself. Projection turns every argument into a trap, because now you're defending yourself against something that isn't even yours. You're stuck proving you're not what they are. And while you're stuck there, exhausted, spinning, they escape all accountability. If someone keeps accusing you of things you've never done, if you're constantly being told you're too much, never enough, and selfish, unstable, pause. That's not a reflection of you. That's a confession from them, disguised as an accusation. You are not broken. You are being projected on by someone too afraid to face their own truth. Now that you've seen the 7 tactics, it's time to take back your mind. If your heart has been heavy through this video, if you felt your chest tighten when I described the silence, the guilt, the gaslighting, that's not just coincidence. That's your body remembering what your mind tried to forget. You've been manipulated, controlled, played like a pawn in someone else's broken game. But now, you see it. And when you see it, really see it, it can't control you the same way again. You are not too sensitive. You are deeply intuitive. You're not dramatic. You've just been ignored for too long. You're not hard to love. You've just been loving people who need control more than connection. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't owe them your forgiveness just because they demand it. You don't owe anyone your self-worth, not anymore. You were taught to be kind, but you were never meant to be a victim. So here's what you do next. You reclaim your space. You rebuild your voice. You rewire the belief that love is pain. Because real love doesn't drain you. It doesn't confuse you. It doesn't make you feel like you're walking on glass. The moment you stop explaining yourself to people who twist your truth is the moment you begin to heal. And healing, that's the biggest revenge of all, because they don't expect you to rise. But you will, and you just took the first step. You are not broken. You were targeted, but you are no longer blind.